Hello, everybody. We are live. Thank you for joining us. We already have all these people in the chat, which was like, wow, for a Monday and a Monday noon. I was like, all right, okay. I see you over there. Like, thank you for your support. I want to say hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm the Raven with the flower, the Raven flower. I got the headband on and everything today. And I have a really wonderful guest. I am excited about this guest because not only does she live in my hood, like she's literally 3 blocks away from me right now, but I get to see her on the daily. And when she comes and I'm having like the worst day in the office, it's like this breeze and rainbow just came through. And then I'm just like left with like, oh, I'm so thankful for these people in our lives that like fill you up instead of the ones that are just constantly taking you down or coming at you in a different way. I'm excited to introduce you to my neighbor and also new friend, Michelle.
Oh my gosh, Raven, you're beautiful. Thank you so much for such a kind intro. I'm like, woo, I feel thrill bumps. I'm like, oh my gosh, how nice. And thank you for this opportunity to come on and talk. And I love that you've created this platform and this space to bring people together, to share and to bring humanity and uplift people. It is precious, it's needed, and just bless you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. I think it's work that needs to be done. Human beings tear each other down in like the worst ways because they're going through stuff. And usually it's a fear or a trauma-based response. But truthfully, we're all going through something. I just want people to be aware that there are people out there that do care, that we all are struggling. You never really know what's happening when you just look at somebody. There's so many layers to why they're doing what they're doing, but also there's also kind people out there like you. Like you.
Thank you. I mean, I think that was one of the best parts of my mother growing up was that she was so kind. She had so much underneath that was broken and wounded and painful and struggling, but she knew the value of giving love and how a small act of smiling genuinely at another human and sending love can make a ripple effect on the world. And so I carry that forward. I think I was born that way. I started off being adopted. My birth mother placed me for adoption. And I remember my mom giving me my baby book, which only had like 3 pages filled out because then she became really busy and overwhelmed and didn't do much. But what was in there was this beautiful line that said, when you met your brother, when we came to pick you up at the agency and you met your brother, you had the biggest smile on your face and you haven't stopped smiling since. And I just think,
oh my gosh, and that's so you. Every time I see you, I think I've seen you one time when you were questioning something and you were thinking or whatever. That's the only time I've ever seen you without a smile on your face.
Yeah, well, I do have the whole range of emotions, and but I think I'm so trained to find the gold in seemingly crappy situations because definitely life has not been a cakewalk. I think, what I've come to realize is that this planet isn't one for just ease and grace. Well, there's lots of grace. It's not for ease. It's really an earth school. And in order for us to grow as human beings, we need contrast. And so that, comes with a lot of disappointment and struggle and hardship and, really trying to find our way and overcoming and recovering from setbacks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we've even got, hi, Johnny. How are you doing? Good to see you. Good. Hello, Moonlight Owl and Mark Kipper. And there's some others in here. I know I saw Kim. Hello, everybody. I always feel like it's romper room. It's just like, I see Johnny and I see Moonlight Light. It's like I feel a little silly when I do this, but hello, everybody in the chat. We love you.
Yes, thank you for listening. And I hope whatever I share today somehow touches you and inspires you, helps in some way alleviate something that you may be going from, or gives you a different point of view to look at life and the experiences that you've had. And hopefully, some tool or something that can help you ongoingly as you go through your life experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Totally, totally. I know. Okay, now I know that you had reached out to me. I think that when we met through my work, which is unusual because that's not how you want to meet me.
it's a different side of Raven.
It is a different. You're gonna get the like scattered, like, oh my God, like I can't anymore with these like entitled people. Like, so I'm holding down, I'm dealing with what I feel like is these snowbirds that come to the island. It's their second and third home. Hello. Like the entitlement is like everything to them, and it's just like so
That'd
there
be
are
hard.
days that I'm just like, I see like honestly my friend Kristen, or who actually is like one of the people that works with me now, or Michelle or Jackie or other people that come in, and I'm like, oh, thank God they came by, because like I didn't know how I was going to get through that shift. I've had people like in my face like yelling at me, and it's like, and this is my face. I'm
Yeah.
like, how much longer is this going to last? Like it feels like an
Oh,
assault sometimes. And I'm an empathic person, so I'm learning how to shift that trauma and shifting out of it instead of staying in what my friend Noah Tempestari said as shadow stew, trying to
ooh,
get
yeah.
out of crawling out of that pot and actually creating a world and a place for myself that doesn't include me having to have these trauma responses or these reactions. Instead, I'm being like, you know what? That's about them. And I'm like, I've learned that people's opinion of me is none of my business. I've
Yeah.
learned, like all of these other stuff. Like, I don't need to take on their emotions and try to fix it for them. I need to just hold myself and be buoyant in my own storm. So I'm learning these things. And I know that you're like, hey, I have this business. And I'm like, hey, you do have this business. Let's
Kind of my
talk about
thing.
this. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm also a psychic intuitive empath. So growing up in this world has been brutal.
Yeah.
And it's been my quest for decades. I mean, 35 plus years to figure out
Mhm.
what it is to be human and how to expand my capacity and find energetic boundaries to keep myself separate from other people's stuff, because we're humans and we have a lot of emotion and we're constantly projecting what we have not been willing to own.
Yeah.
And in our society, we're not kind of taught to be sovereign beings. We're taught to give ourselves over to others and other systems,
Yes.
institutions, people. And so, this conditioning that we've had since we were infants, and even before that in the womb, is
Mhm.
teaching us to trust what's out there, not what's in here. And
Right.
so as an empath, we're very spongy. Boundaries aren't natural. And one of the things I really appreciate about you, Raven, is your boundaries. Like, I can tell you've been intentional and that you're working hard to create them and honor others. And
Thank
so,
you.
I mean, that's been my quest. And so in my practice, that's what I teach people is energetic boundaries and what I call energetic hygiene. I've created this whole system around really understanding ourselves as energetic beings, like divine, sovereign, energetic beings, because everything on earth is energy.
Everything, and that's what witchcraft is also, is the manipulation of energy and where you're throwing it and what you're working with and other energetic sources to manifest what you need or don't need.
Yeah. And so in my business, I refer to that as everyday alchemy. It's like working with the laws of nature. We know in physics now, in quantum physics, so much more than we knew before. I mean, Tesla obviously knew it, and some previous, masters that have walked the earth. But we have so much access to it these days. And to really break everything down into that fundamental element of energy really allows us so much possibility, like infinite possibility.
Yeah.
And when I think about energetic hygiene, it really came to me one day. I have a beautiful mentor. Her name's Dory Lynn Ray. And before that, I just want to have a side note because they may be listening. The woman who actually acknowledged who I was and how I walked on this earth was my best friend's mother, Maria Comfort. And she's going through a health challenge right now. So if everyone can send a blast of love and light to her, that would mean so much to me. She saw me and she acknowledged that I had these gifts and talents and taught me that there was so much more to this life than what we see. And that sent me on my journey. And then I met this other amazing woman who became my mentor, and her name's Dory Lynn Ray. And ironically, she's going through some health challenges right now. So if we can send this amazing woman a blast of love and light too, she helped me see that, in the turn of the 20th century, we realized that not washing our hands was creating a lot of unnecessary infection and death in hospitals.
Right.
But ironically, when I looked this up, it wasn't until 1980 that it actually became a thing, a process, that hand hygiene. It's like, geez, that makes so much sense. And it really improved our quality of life and extended our life.
Right.
And then in the 21st century, or in the 20th century, we learned about dental hygiene. It was in 1923 that the Association of Dental the dental ADA became a thing, and dental hygiene became a thing. And that also improved our quality of life and extended our life cycle and our vitality. And so, oh, thanks, Jennifer. I see she's sending love, healing energy, and prayers to the special ladies, Dory and Maria.
Jennifer's a sweetheart, and she's going to be my next Truth Talk victim, right, Jennifer?
Nice.
She's like, oh my gosh, don't check me out.
Yeah. Well, and then, I'm thinking and looking at what is the need on the planet, and we're in the 21st century. So that's why I say it's time to really take responsibility for our personal energy field, because we all have it. It's acknowledged as a biofield by, Western science, and to really be responsible for cleaning up. Because all the emotional debris, the mental debris, the physical debris, it all resides in our field. And when we meet someone, we relate to them energetically first before we even talk or anything.
Oh, wow.
We feel that field. And so part of the reason why I have so much light is because I've been for 20 plus years rigorously working on my energetic hygiene to clean up all the stuff that I gathered when I didn't know any better. And so, I think about in life, it throws us traumas. And since being in the womb, I've had traumas. And, you can measure them throughout life. And by the time I began my journey to fill my family, I had a lot in my field that was unprocessed. And so in my journey to bring a child into our family, I had a lot of loss. I went through 5 second-term miscarriages. So I delivered 3 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, boy.
And talk about heartbreak. And the reason I'm bringing this forward today is because I think we need to talk about grief and trauma, because, and miscarriage, because that's finally starting to be talked about a lot more, but it's still something that so many people have suffered alone in isolation, unacknowledged for too long.
I have some rainbow babies as well, and it was lonely. It was really lonely, and nobody wants to understand or whatever. Like, I still celebrate their spirits. I talk to them. I do. I do.
Right?
They're still a little spirit for me. They're there.
Yeah. Yeah, they never go away. And that's, a beautiful part of working with grief is that you can develop that relationship with them in a different form because they don't go, they just change form.
You just change form, right?
And that's the beauty with energy. So even like what I'm bringing forward with the trauma around what I went through, you can see it mimics other periods and times in my life that weren't ever dealt with, but it just changed form. Because if we don't heal
Mhm.
from traumatic events and woundings that we get in life, they will reoccur, but just in a different form.
Mhm.
Just kind of like in relationships.
Mhm.
Like you can be in a relationship with a guy and think, oh, he's just a jerk. Okay, I'm going to ditch him. And then you get a new boyfriend. If you don't deal with your part of that relationship, you're just going to get the same guy, but he's going to be in a different suit.
It's energetic responsibility. You still have you're still responsible for your stuff. You're responsible for what you do and what you say, but also everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
completely.
yeah.
And so in my life, in my family, when someone would die or, transition out of their body, we didn't really talk about it. My mom would grieve her father every Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day was always kind of a bummer. But
Oh,
like, we didn't really talk about it. It was like life went on.
yeah.
It happened, they might cry, and then life went on. And I always thought that was weird, and I didn't understand why.
Mhm.
And so when I went through my first miscarriage, I was so excited because my husband and I just bought our first house. And a few weeks later, found out I was pregnant. It was like the dream was coming true, right? It was just like
Yeah,
check, check, check.
yeah.
And so I was so excited. Everything shone. It was easy to get pregnant. Everything was going well. I was healthy. All the marks were being met. And he was out of town in another state. And I remember walking through my kitchen and I sneezed and my water broke.
Oh boy.
And I was like, oh, I think this is not supposed to happen now. Like this, I thought it was my water. I didn't know. And I called the doctor. So it was like a pretty traumatic process. They sent me home in hopes that that sac would seal because sometimes it does. And I had a friend with me to stay the night, and she went home in the morning to take care of her daughter to get her to school. And I got up, and while I was up, the baby birthed, and I was alone. And I called 911, and I went through this very traumatic experience, of all of these firemen in my house and being rushed into an ambulance and taken to a hospital and going through procedures to complete that birth. And it was gnarly. I was terrified. I was alone. I was bereaved. It was shocking and traumatic. And I remember that this woman came in and her name was Elaine. And she was like an angel. And she was a bereavement nurse, which I
Mhm.
found out later, not all hospitals have them.
No.
And it's like, how could you not have a bereavement nurse?
Right.
So she really honored my process and she took my baby and she kept him warm and cleaned him up. And there's really beautiful souls out there that knit blankets and little beanies for these premature babies who don't make it. And she got him all ready and brought him back to me and helped me process this loss, right? Like it was just so hard and traumatic. And in that moment was the beginning of me breaking into millions of
The
pieces.
pieces. Yeah.
And then there was, following that, there was more, right? There was 4 more and processes in between that I went through before we finally said, okay, let's adopt. Like, this isn't crazy. We can't do this. And there was times in between where I said no because I couldn't do it. But then something in me wanted to move forward.
Yeah.
So, um,
I love you.
thank you. Thank you. It was hard, because there aren't a lot of resources around grief
Right.
and people don't like to acknowledge it.
Right.
And a lot of people haven't had the experience of miscarriage. So they don't understand that pain is just as hard as having a live birth child and losing them.
Yeah.
There's, as soon as there's a pregnancy, there is hope. There's projection of dreams and plans, and it's just there. You become attached instantly. It's one of the fascinating biological experiences of being human. And so when that's taken prematurely, grief and trauma just hits.
Yeah.
And as a culture, we don't deal well with grief and trauma. I think I mentioned to you once how we're constipated emotionally
I
as a
loved this
culture.
phrase. She told me this phrase before we went live, and I like had to take a moment because I was cracking up. And I'm like, we are emotionally constipated as a society. And I'm like, yes, we are. Like, somebody needs to give us a damn laxative so we can move it along. Like, that is the thing for sure.
Yeah. So, the thing I learned about grief pretty quickly is that there's no way around it. No, there's no way around it. You can't bypass. Like, I know people do a lot of spiritual bypass because it's uncomfortable to look at the pain and to
Yeah.
sit with it and to, be in your own darkness. We
Mhm.
don't want to be there. It's like, ew. But you know what? There is so much power in being there.
Yeah.
And in that possibility, there's a huge opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And that's the part I wish was advertised more often with grief. It's like, you gotta see the benefits, right?
See the
Um,
benefits. Yeah.
yeah. And so, sitting in my brokenness, I thankfully had strong women and wise women around me to help guide me. And I worked with, my mentor who has a beautiful body of work around clearing and neutralizing emotional patterns. I got to work with a spiritual guide and coach of mine that helped connect me to those babies and the experience and to understand that it wasn't a failure and it
Right.
was purposeful and it was intentional.
Right.
And so I was able to really hold that in a way that felt empowered versus wounded and
Mm.
assaulted, or, kind of like God in the universe totally fucked me over. But
Right.
I could see that I was being of service, which helped me, really heal. And, part of the reason why I'm bringing this story forward today is because there is so much pain on the planet and there is so much grief and there is so much trauma. I mean, geez, one of the things I keep reminding myself is that in order to have a breakthrough, there has to be a breakdown. It's physics. It can't happen any other way. And we need some changes on this planet. When you think of everything as energy, it all comes down to frequency and vibration. And the collective frequency on the planet is pretty low.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so in order to get a higher frequency, we got to change something. And the change begins with us. And so by us individually taking care of our own energetic hygiene, we can collectively have a huge ripple and a
Right.
huge lift in our frequency that will change what we're experiencing on this planet,
Right.
you know? Um, yeah, I just want to take a breath.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
inside what?
I said thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I've been there. And also something I think that's not talked about is also the men in our lives, the fathers that also go through this grief, and they feel like they don't have an option to be grieving because it didn't physically happen to them, but yet there was a connection there as well, and they go through that process. It's not just of the feminine aspect of this. It's also I've watched men, my former lover, was destroyed by the fact that I had that miscarriage. And he felt that there was something wrong with him and, his seed and, all this other stuff like that. Just because we females are the ones carrying we're not the only ones that have the pain as well. And there's,
100%.
processing that our counterpart has to go through as well. And it was so stifling for him and for me that we ended up breaking up shortly after that. And there wasn't anything else wrong in our relationship, but it was just so much that he couldn't get past it. And I don't know if you have anything to contribute to that as well. And
A
I
hundred
met your husband
percent.
the other day, and he's a wonderful individual. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful.
And it wrecked him for a lot of years. And we were separated for a chunk of time because of all of it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really puts a lot of strain. Men in our society have been really conditioned to separate the feminine aspects of themselves because
right,
we all have masculine and feminine. That's just what comes with being human.
yeah,
But men, are being told that if they do that, they're not men, and all these weird
things.
societal narratives that are just old and outdated and don't work anyhow, are there. And so men have to really unpack that. And, for him, a lot of it, he felt like God didn't like him and wasn't on his side. And, really rectifying his spirituality with
Mm-hmm.
understanding that bad things can happen, but that it's always working for your good.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we adopted our son, who is the absolute perfect kid for us.
He's beautiful. He's wonderful. He's been in the pool and having like a blast. I've seen him all over the place. He's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he was so cute. He knew I was coming on here today. He's like, "Hey, can I pop on and promote my YouTube channel?"
He can if he wants to. He's welcome to. I totally endorse that.
It's so cute.
He's
But he's
fantastic.
something else. And he's a super highly sensitive, psychic, intuitive empath. And if he would have, I'm sure you know how the universe works. They always get you where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I am the perfect mother for him. Teaching him how to ground himself as soon as he was age 2 and clear his energy, because he can feel, and teaching him just because you can read other people's thoughts doesn't mean you should, like ethics
Right.
and boundaries. So yeah, but it is hard on men, and to it's like it's important, if you can't work through the grief on your own through like journaling or having your own supportive people, that you seek out
Mhm.
spiritual support, counseling, spiritual coaching, whatever is right for you, because grief will kick your ass if you don't work it.
Yes.
There's studies that show we know the impact on the brain, right? As soon as grief or trauma hits, your brain capacity diminishes.
Yeah.
And that's because so much of the bandwidth is moving toward trying to help your hypothalamus and your amygdala kind of not stay on high alert. It's trying to calm things down. So, all that disruption and confusion and brain fog, that's 100% normal. Because not only is your brain moving those resources to deal with the high firing of your amygdala, but there's also neural pathways that have to be rewired because that person is no longer
Hi,
there.
my name's Raven, and I am rebuilding and regrowing neural pathways. Hi.
Right? I know. Just recently. So the other thing to remember is that the body remembers. And so there's a book that a dear colleague of mine, Melanie Valley, who's just a brilliant, amazing woman, turned me on to, is The Body Keeps Score. And it's
Ooh, writing
talking
that
about,
down.
yeah. And the other day on August 24th, I started having all this anxiety and I
Oh,
was
really?
feeling really depressed, like something hijacked my normal feelings. And
You're
I
not
was like,
alone. You're not alone because my friends had to endure me. It was like right around that moon. There was like a couple of days before the moon and it was bad. And then it got worse. And then full moon like got here and I was like literally in my bed under my blanket. Like I am not that witch that's going to go out there going, oh, let's put crystals under the moon. I'm just like, I'm hiding for my fucking life. I am just like, what? I like my mouth should not be out there in public. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm like, no. Yes. I
yeah,
think I was
it was
feeling
a
the
full
exact
moon in
same thing.
Aries. So that's kind of,
Wow. Yes.
yeah. But for me, when I sat and was like, what's going on? I realized that that first trauma happened on August 24th.
Oh,
And it's like my body remembers. So
remembered.
even
Your
though I've
body
done
remembered.
this work and I've cleared so much and processed so much, my body remembers. And so,
Wow, that's powerful.
right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I took some time. I just kind of cleared my schedule. And for the next few days, I struggled. I
Oh,
almost
honey.
had a panic attack one day. So I really had to make space to go in and do some grief work and some trauma work. You
Yeah.
know, one of the things that I do that has a huge impact is psychosensory techniques.
Hmm.
And these are all things we can do with ourselves because we have this body and there's ways to
Hmm.
work with it. We just haven't been taught. But I have probably like at least 1,000 tools that I've collected over this time that can be used to help comfort, soothe, and rebalance
Hmm.
our energy field.
Hmm.
And so, like, to give you an idea of what psychosensory techniques are, uh, they help you relate to how we're thinking and how we're processing stimuli, right?
Okay.
So, EFT is a popular one.
Hmm.
There's a havening technique. There's, breathing, like intentional box breathing or four,
Hmm.
seven, eight, like all those different breathing techniques can be considered psychosensory techniques.
Okay.
Mindfulness techniques, because you're
Yes.
dealing with how you're going to mentally process the stimuli.
Yeah.
All of that is psychosensory. And I find that when we do that, we can respond in really beautiful ways. We can really come back to a calm baseline.
Okay.
And so I immediately got, cleared my schedule, got into bed because I was like, I can't be out there.
I feel you. Get me out there.
And I just, whenever I do any energy work, and I encourage people to do this, I connect. Well, first of all, I make sure I'm grounded, make sure I'm all the way in the body connected to earth.
Hmm.
Then I connect to my higher self, that part of me that's not encumbered by this physical body.
Right.
And then I tell my mind, hey, I'm doing some release work. This is processing release work. I'm not recycling. We're not going to hold on to this. This is for the sake of like letting it go. bye-bye. And then I go into the work. And so what I do is I tap into my multidimensionality, because all of us have a really alive inner kid and a really alive inner adolescent and an adult that shows up in many forms, right? Like critical, indulgent, and hopefully spiritual and
Yes.
nurturing, right?
Yes.
But usually we have to cultivate that nurturing part because we're so familiar with listening to the critical or the indulgent. So I start with whatever part of me is feeling the feels the most in that moment.
Mhm.
And for me, it was my little girl. She was
Mm,
just sad and just, you know, just sad. And so I cried. And then I did some tapping because, it
yeah.
just calms and soothes me.
Yeah.
And then I journaled. And then I did some prayers.
Hmm.
And whenever I do prayers, it's always of thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
Thanking for whatever I want.
Yeah.
And then I knew I still needed a little bit more feel good. And
Hmm.
so for me, feel good is dopamine. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, how can I get more dopamine? And I don't go to drugs. So I want to go to how can I release my inner pharmacy?
Hmm.
And so one of my most favorite ways to release just a flood of dopamine is to think about the people that have helped me become who I am today. And so I started thinking about the mothers that I've had in my life, because I had my birth mother, my adopted mother, who's my mom, and then I've had all these other mothers that have stepped in to teach me things along the way.
Hmm.
And when I thought of each one of them, I mean, by the time I got to the third or fourth, I was flying high and I was feeling good. And so then I just laid down and I took a nap. And when I got up, I felt like, okay, I can take on the world right now. But
Yeah.
it was a process over days of
Uh-huh.
doing that till
Uh-huh.
like yesterday, I woke up and I finally didn't have that like in the background wiry feeling
That
of like,
undercurrent. Yeah.
yeah, that undercurrent.
Uh-huh.
And so I share this because it's really important that we acknowledge that this is all part of the human journey, and to not, like, for me, sometimes I go, why is this happening? And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, that's not the question I want to be asking. The question I want to be asking is, why is it so easy for me to move through this when
Mhm.
I lean into the grief? You
Right.
know, because that's what I want, is to move through it. And to just be with it, because it's just a part of being human.
Yeah.
When it's unfamiliar and we get slammed, or like that big wave comes and crashes us out of the blue, it's just when everything's going great.
Right.
And like the August 24th date comes around and I'm not thinking of it because it's been, a lot of years,
Right.
and life's busy right now or whatever. It just happens
Yep.
because the body remembers, and to lean into it is really, really helpful.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. I learned a long time ago that, we have all of these emotions, and these emotions are not bad. They're not bad. And, anger in itself is not bad. You've given that emotion as a way of processing through something, and, you know, being able to feel a certain way about something. It's just, are you going to stay with it? Like, again, shadow stew, like my friend
Right.
Noah says. It's like, how long are you gonna stay with that? It's anger in itself is not wrong. Grief in itself is not wrong. Fear is not wrong. So a lot of this stuff is just instinctual that's been put there. But then that shifting or that processing through, like you're talking about, is the needed work. And I think that society has put us, at least I know in the customer service industry, your voice is not important. You have to be, you know, all
Always
the time
smile.
for everybody or whatever. And it's exhausting because you're not being authentic. You're not being authentic. It's okay to have these feelings. These feelings are there for a reason, and we shouldn't be made to feel bad for having a bad day or being angry about something. But we do need to sit with it and we do need to process it, because if you shove it down and to the side in a box over there and you're going to come back to it sometime, chances are it's going to manifest a way, it's going to come back up in a way that you don't want it to. And I know that
Yeah.
that's equated in myself over time in health issues. A lot of health issues have manifest because I didn't unpack my stuff. I didn't process it. I was like, nope, I got to be a mom now, and now I got to protect the stuff. Nope, I'm a customer service rep. Nope, now I got to be here and da 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 da. I'm the hostess with the mostest and da 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 da. I don't want anybody to feel a certain way. I don't want them to feel the way I felt. And I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Classic womanhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is okay like to compartmentalize something for the time being because you have to function, but to actually make time and space to come back to it and unpack it is important. And one of the things that I think is important for everyone to realize is that whatever upsets us out there is something that we have unhealed in here. And so I encourage people to keep a list of the things that just make them mad.
Diagonal walkers. I have a problem with you. Diagonal walkers. You cross the street. You can't just go straight. You got to take as much time as possible to cross that street in a diagonal way. I don't know what that means internally, but it drives me insane.
Well, I think you have issues with entitlement. Like people.
Okay. I do have an issue with entitlement. Is like, how much of my time and space are you going to take today? Really?
Right? I know it's frustrating. And we have this whole, me culture. Like there's this BBC series that was published in 2003 called The Century of the Self.
Well, you're giving me all kinds of like homework. The century of
and it's on YouTube, but it's really fascinating because it explains how we've become who we are today.
Okay.
And who created it, who perpetuated it, and how it's become this. And this was before 2003. A lot of stuff has really blown up since then, but I find it really fascinating, and I think it makes you a more informed consumer and human, and that's always a good thing because everything is geared to get us to move in a certain way. Right. And we have to really work hard to keep that sovereignty. We think, oh, this is me. But, they know exactly what we want and what's going to make us buy or move in a certain direction, they being whoever is, trying to get us to buy or move us. But so it's really important to be educated and aware so that you have a bit more sovereignty like that. There was something I wanted to talk to about, part of the reason why I use psychosensory techniques is because we've been taught for so many years that to find comfort, we have to go outside ourselves, go to a doctor, go to a this, go to a that. And, there's simple things that we can do to calm ourselves.
Yes, preach. Okay. Give it.
Yeah. And, so one of the things I wanted just to share with everyone listening today is a technique called the breath hug. And so the breath hug, and for any of you who have watched Saturday Night Live back in like the early 2000s or 90s, I don't know when it was, but Molly Shannon and her Mary Catherine Gallagher character.
Love it.
Right? So remember, she's hysterical. So, you take your hands, and remember how she would take her hands and just stick them under there? Yep. Well, this is called a breath hug. When you put your hands like this, and you take
Okay.
a deep breath. So everyone who's watching, just take a moment. Think about how you feel. Like, register how you feel in your body. Then do this. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here right now. Notice how you feel.
I felt like a little bit of just a little like I carry a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, which I think most people do, especially if they're an office worker. And I felt like a little, uh, like a little, like it was a tight cord and it's
And
like
just kind of release.
It got slack in it finally. Yeah. That felt.
Yeah. So a few things happen physiologically when we do that. One, that dopamine's released. Yay. And all these chemicals come to soothe and harmonize our central nervous system. When we cross our arms, we're like creating the polarity, which is often off, especially if you're in your left brain all day long or in your right brain all day long. And so we're creating that polarity. And then also, when you touch over here, you have a meridian on the
Oh,
side of
wow.
your body that you're touching with your hand being in that position. And that is also one that calms your central nervous system.
I'm not just coughing a feel on my boob.
No, that's
Okay.
just a bonus.
It's a bonus.
And so, that's something you can do like throughout your workday. I mean, you're welcome to take more breaths, but you start to feel it within 3. I
Okay.
had a client that I taught this to, and he was a man in his 70s. And when I taught him, he's like, that's what I do to get to sleep at night. And he said he had trouble sleeping, and he learned if he did this, he could get to
Uh-huh.
sleep. And so intuitively and instinctively, he figured that one out on his own.
Nice.
Right? So there's a lot of things we can do with our body and that works with our mind to change our physiology in any moment. And when we're in a more coherent, harmonized state, we're more present. And only when we're present do we get the beauty of life. Because there is no past, there is no future, there's only now. But we're so conditioned and in a trauma state, we're either reflecting on one of those two. And so we're never giving our body, mind, spirit system a chance to heal. Right?
My friend Tessa was just here. We were planning. She's my co-host for the Witchy Meet and Greet on the 25th. So we had a little meeting. I was showing her all the stuff that had come in. And by the way, if you are a raffle donator, send me your stuff. But she's in the chat right now. She's like, okay, I'll leave you so that you can get online. But she says, I can't resist smelling my fingers
We're not going to judge you. It makes you giggle. Right?
I know. I love you. Oh
I
my
think of
God.
all the good skits Saturday Night Live has offered us. And if you haven't watched the recent season, they do one on the iceberg.
Okay.
And watch it. It's called the iceberg skit, and it's hysterical. I've probably watched that 25 times already. Anytime I need to laugh and uplift my energy.
Iceberg skit. Okay, I'll check that out.
Right? Because that's really, since everything is energy, there's infinite ways to mix things, right? If everything's energy and it's all frequency and vibration. I don't know, Tessa. We've got to meet.
She was just here. I mean, she was just down your street. She went right past you.
Oh, it looks like she's in Sedona in her picture, maybe in the background.
Oh, maybe no, I don't know what she's doing. She's great. That's
yes, superstar. But since it's all about frequency and vibration, all that matters is that you get to a higher vibration. So some people don't like meditating. Some people don't like, rattles. Some people don't like rocks and crystals. Whoever those people are, I don't know.
I don't
But,
know those people. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life.
right? But whatever is your way to get there, just get there. Even if you start going, ha, 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 it will lead to laughter. And that
Yeah.
increases your vibration and releases so many good things in your body.
You know what? There was a time that makes me remember when we had three teenagers in the house plus extras, that strays or whatever, and Bear and I were feeling a certain way, and there was a lot of that teen angst. That current of energy is so angsty, and you're like, I hate you. You're the worst mom. And I'm like, I know. There are days I hate me too, but I'm sorry. Will you just eat the broccoli? Like, just please. Like you just like I can't. There was times I love these guys, and sometimes they're inappropriate, and I get that. But we would put on, I think it was, I can't remember which TV, but it was through cable. Impractical Jokers, the four guys that, prank each other. They were high school friends or junior high friends, and they
I gotta
always
write
did like these it's still on TV today, and they actually tour. They're hysterical.
Okay,
And
I'm writing
four
that down.
different guys. I think I don't know if I can remember their names right now, but they're amazing. And they were friends that grew up playing pranks on each other like dares, and they'll
Oh my
lose
God.
if you don't do what they say, like what the other ones say, like, or whatever. And they do like a lot of these social things. So like one is the nose. So forget what his name is, but he has a big long nose, and the goal is to be in a crowded room and you have to put your nose on somebody without them knowing that you did it. I mean, and so they're filming all of this. This is in New York and like Coney Island and all this stuff. They are hysterical. And we would turn that on, and sure enough, one at a time, here they all come. And we were angsty and mad at dinner, and then now everybody's laughing, and people can like, that something about that is just really, really powerful. You find that thing that works, like you said, and if it's Impractical Jokers, you go for it.
Right?
I mean, go
Right?
for it. They're so funny. So
Yeah.
funny. Mhm.
So funny. So funny. Yeah, it's really about, taking not settling for suffering, one, right? Like
Not settling for suffering. Oh, I love
we
this.
do not have to suffer. There is a way through, and we don't need costly, outside intervention always,
Right,
because for some people that's an issue. It's like, well, I can't afford therapy, or I can't do this, or there's some sort of block. There's
right.
no block when it's you with you.
Right.
And
You don't need this great, but like I have a friend that, I mean, I don't even know if they're listening right now, but that's like they won't talk to anybody if you don't have like this many degrees and this many, like you have to have this certificate and you have to be the height of whatever. And I'm like, those people are just as fucked up as all the rest of us.
right.
You gotta learn to deal. There are so many tools and people available to you right now. You have everything you need, but are you going to apply that action in order to get there? Or you're just happy being stuck there? Is it more about that you want to present and get the attention and the intensity at this level in a negative pattern? Or would you like to do it over here in a positive pattern? Which one is going to be
Exactly.
better?
Exactly. Because we do, as human beings, get addicted to our emotional patterns.
Yep.
And so, like, choose, and that's what I do when I work with people. And they usually come to me when they're at a high pain threshold, like where it's just like not working for them anymore. And they
Right.
really are ready for change. And I help them really uncover what's underneath it, because sometimes they don't even see it all. It's
Right.
been just, we all have blind spots, right? And
Right.
I help them bring it forward and actually transmute it. And I teach them how to use their day to day life, because most people don't have more time, you
Right.
know? So that's the alchemy. That's the everyday alchemy in my business, is how do we take what you're already doing in your day to day and add more intention and ritual and practice into it that
Right.
helps transform things. Because the one thing that I've seen over and over is that the universe doesn't demand huge things from us
Right.
to really respond in generous, graceful ways. It just asks that we show up
Hmm.
with a level of commitment in a consistent way. So it can be consistent baby steps and it will produce results.
Will produce
And
results. Wow.
and that's what I love doing. I help people really reconnect to their beauty and re-narrate the story of their life that they're telling themselves. Because what I've learned is that our life experience comes from the thoughts that we carry over and over, our beliefs. And we can change that. And it's pretty easy. It just takes being a little uncomfortable with the unfamiliar, and unfamiliar is always uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and showing up for yourself.
Showing up for yourself big time. Yeah, I heard a phrase the other day that, something that successful people do, no matter what they do in business, but successful people, pre-plan. They are very organized. They make lists the night before. They set their clothes out the night before. They try to make that morning smooth so that they're able to do what they need to do in the morning, but also being comfortable with being uncomfortable
Yeah.
is one of those things because you're not growing. If you want to 100% not grow, just be as comfortable as possible.
Right.
Just be as just be as comfortable as possible. Just keep doing your same old stuff, and then there you go. You're not
Right.
growing. You're not growing as a human being. You're
No,
absolutely not.
no, and you
Um,
can't stay static. We're dynamic. You will atrophy. It will go backwards if it doesn't go forward.
exactly, exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, you are amazing. And I remember with the very first time that I met you because you were a new member because you're new to the neighborhood and I
Yes,
had to
I'm so
do it.
happy to be here.
I, yeah, and I just like was I'm like, oh, this woman is like a hug. I'm just like, it was the best, one of the best. Usually the new member meetings, they're, pounding me with all kinds of like, what is this and what is that and what is that? It feels very much Jack Skeleton. He's like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And I'm just like, "Wow," one at a time. But you were just like, na, 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 na. And I'm like,
Aw.
I love her. Like there are these people that come to you. The universe brings you these people in your life, and I'm in this phase where I'm letting go of what does not serve me, and including family members that are toxic relationships. If there's anything that I've done that I'm responsible for, I'm making myself uncomfortable and going to that person and apologizing for those things
Beautiful.
because I don't want to carry that and I don't want there to be any yuck in between me and that person, especially if I respect them and love them. I'm
Yeah.
not going to carry that forward. I want to carry love and respect and really healthy boundaries and all those things so that we can be the best friends or lovers. Even with my husband, rediscovering our relationship because we've grown since 20 years when we got married. There's different
Yeah.
needs now. Those things, trying to reevaluate, touching on all of this stuff so that I can be the best person I possibly can be and shift through all of that pain and whatever because it's not happening to me anymore. So why am I still in it? I
Right.
gotta move past it.
Yeah. So you're speaking about integrity, which is all that we have as a human. It is the only thing we have control over is our integrity. And you're also speaking to conscious completions. So
Oh, I
that
didn't
like
know that was a
really,
thing. I'm
yeah,
speaking to conscious completions. Okay.
yeah. And that's
She said it.
powerful because it just sort of drags along. I saw this meme about a teacher who has the kids in each class write down, a struggle or something that they've been through that, um, you know, that they still carry with them in life. And they wrote it down, they put it in a bag, and then different people went in and picked it out and read it. And it was to show that there's humanity in all of us and we all go through things and to cultivate compassion for what another's going through. But then she leaves the bag up on the wall because it represents the stuff we carry around, like it's baggage that we're constantly carrying. And so to have those conscious completions, you're taking that stuff out of the bag, you're lightening your load. And
Yeah.
that's such a gift you can give to yourself and to others.
Oh,
My
thank
son
you.
just popped in. Can he say hi?
Yes.
Come here, Zack. Now we are short on time. If you want to say hi, say it now.
Hi.
You got to be in the camera, silly. I thought you wanted to promote your YouTube channel. Now he's being shy, this little YouTube star.
I love it. I love it. Man, YouTube channels are hard to start. I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Right?
work.
Yeah.
There are days when I'm just like, I'm going through all these messages and all these comments and I can't get through them. And I'm like, so you wanted to be a YouTube sensation. Like, think about that.
Right. Totally.
How many people are watching?
I don't know how many people are watching, but she's got a lot of subscribers.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, you're going to say hi because we're going to wrap this up.
Hi.
Well,
Hi,
what's on your
Eddie.
channel?
How are you?
Say hi.
Hi.
Tell me about your YouTube channel. What are you doing?
I have a work setup in my room, and I add stuff to it, like cool set up gear, like green screens, like microphones, and I just review stuff.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We very much need that, especially with my age group. There's so much new technology out, and like I have some younger friends that help me, I feel, sometimes stay relevant. You know, they're like I don't know, my interview of vampire. They're my Louis. I'm the Lestat sometimes. And it's like, it's hard for older generation people like myself to learn all of these things. I turn to YouTube a lot because I need that visual. So what you're doing is really important. It's really important to people like me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He has a lot of fun with it.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. I need to put you in touch with my friend Noah because you guys would get along like peas and carrots. That would be fantastic.
He's like, peas and carrots.
He's like, what does that mean? Okay, that's a reference from Forrest Gump. I'm sorry, I'm aging myself.
We'll explain it later. Oh my gosh, thank you for having me on this.
Welcome. You're welcome. Did you want to open it up to questions?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. If anybody has any questions for Michelle, go ahead and do so. Put that in the chat and put it in bold so I can see it quickly because it goes so fast, and that way I can bring it up on screen and we can talk about that. Before we get our first question, which I have a feeling somebody's already typing right now. Before we get our first question, so you went through this and you started and also I need Zack's link. So I will post Zack's link to his page in my description box once this updates. So I'll post your website and Zack's link if you can give me those two things. I already have the one. But how did you decide to do that then for a living? Because you have a business. How did that get started?
Well, I had been doing a lot. I've always been an entrepreneur. I just never fit into a perfect mold. And I knew I needed to be doing something more creative. And I went to graphic arts because I was doing business consulting. And then I moved to graphic arts. And then I realized when I met my mentor, I helped her synthesize her body of work and turn it into a workshop.
Oh, wow.
And she invited me to co-facilitate. And I knew, oh my gosh, I need to participate in other people's transformation. I just felt so alive. And so then I looked for, I interviewed a lot of people to figure out what I could do professionally and what I needed to study to become qualified. And this was back in 2002, and life coaching was just becoming a thing. And so someone spoke to me and she said, oh, what you're talking about is life coaching. And I was like, what? And so
wow, that's interesting because I was going to start doing that. That's interesting. I started, go Go ahead.
Yeah, so I sought out the different schools, and one of the schools that actually started life coaching, they train and develop your intuition. And that was what sold me. So I went and got trained and certified as a professional coactive coach. And then I continued with all sorts of like leadership and all sorts of things. I'm a Reiki master. I've got sound healing. Would say I'm expert on crystals. And I got into essential oils and just so many, I'm an EFT practitioner. I'm getting trained in matrix re-imprinting at the end
Oh
of
my
September. So I'm
goodness.
constantly seeking out tools that I can teach and support others' growth and transformation. And so I instantly, the first day of training, I knew I found what I was here to do. I found my people, I found my thing, and that's just, I started coaching and I've always had a practice ever since.
Yep, you're a healer. You're a healer.
Yeah,
You
I
are such a
am.
healer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, we've got our first question up on the screen from Draven. Hey, Draven, how you doing, love?
Cool name.
I know.
Yeah. So my favorite small moment of happiness in a day. Well, I start my day out very intentional. So it starts as soon as I become conscious. I lay in bed and I do morning rituals. And the first thing I do is I give thanks. And whatever is present, I am thankful for life, this new day. I'm thankful for, having a body and whatever is working in my body and whatever comes forward. I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for living on this island, for being in this community with Raven. I'm just thankful for so much. And that is really, where I get a moment of happiness. Also, my cats, nature. I mean, there's so much about being alive that makes me happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I got another one. Let me go find it. They're starting to fly in now.
Oh, I
I'm
love
like, whoa,
questions.
whoa. Okay. Okay, there's that. There's that. Okay.
I used to host a radio show on KKNW for 2 years. Well, there was a few radio shows. One was called Higher Wellness. One, I woke up Seattle 5 days a week for a year. And that show was called Bright and Early Seattle. And we brought good news, alternative, healing and ideas, and brought on luminaries and cool people. And then it
I gotta tell
finally morphed
you.
into Uplift Radio.
I got to tell you, so I told my friend, so I moved up here because I was being called up here from Texas, but also one of my best friends from high school, like helped me. I was a teen mom and she held my hand in childbirth, when we were in high school, and we've stayed friends all this time. Her name is Jessica and she teaches at Cornish and actually teaches dance therapy to Bill Gates' son. She is the owner and director of General Magic, and they do these productions every now and again. So every other year she does these things, and you can find one of her productions on my channel. She's amazing. She said, there used to be this radio show and it was your radio show. She lives in Seattle. It was your radio show. And I'm just like, tell me we're not connected.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Isn't that great? I know. It's so cool. It's so cool. I love it.
Cool. Okay, what am I going to dress up as on Halloween? Oh, that's a good question. So my husband kind of describes me as a Halloween Scrooge. I'm just not into dressing up. But I don't know. It's always been so weird to dress up because I've worked so hard to like shed the false masks that I've worn in life.
Yeah.
But however, coming this Thursday in the mail, I've got this green top hat with a gold ribbon because my, you know how you have Bitmoji and Avatar?
Yeah.
And so I created this Bitmoji like over a year ago, and she's got lavender hair, the green eyes, and then this green top hat. And he's like, Michelle, you've got lavender hair now. Why don't you get the top hat? So I'm going to dress as that, as an everyday alchemist. And I think I'll have like a little magic wand.
I love it.
And some crystals.
I love it. That's
That's a fun
perfect.
question. Thanks.
Absolutely perfect. Okay, here's another one from Jennifer.
Ooh, favorite crystals. All right, my top 5. Selenite, because it's one of the highest vibrating crystals. It's a self-cleaning. It's constantly doing work. And I love being able to clean my other crystals on it. Black tourmaline, number 2, because it is the healer stone. It is like a vacuum for lower vibration energy. You've got to make sure you clean it, though, because it will spill back out.
It will.
Number 3, amethyst, because it is beautiful at psychic protection, helping clarify the communication that's coming in, and it's purple. So love it. Of course, clear quartz, because it's programmable, and I use those on the moon cycles to do my magic with. And they're gorgeous, right? And then rose quartz, because it emanates so much love and nurturing, and it's such a feminine stone. And then a little like side one that is my favorite is Herkimer diamonds.
Oh, yes.
Because as someone who is a healer and working with transformation with others, it is something that really brings through that deep prescription for healing very clearly.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's really high vibe, and I don't really use it outside of healing, although I have a beautiful necklace. And if I ever found a ring, I'd probably get that too. But yeah, gosh,
Already
I love
shopping.
them all.
Already shopping. I love it. I love it. My favorites for you, kind of that kind of thing, is I love carnelian. I love unakite. I love lepidolite. I also love black tourmaline, and I also like, and I also I love hematite. Hematite for me is a very good grounding stone. And as somebody who is constantly haunted, I have to have some sort of, either black tourmaline is good for me, but also that hematite does something that helps me block, especially negative spirits. I love it. And garnet is another one. And
garnet, so awesome. Yeah, and do you know that Washington has the most beautiful carnelian anywhere in the world? It's one of our special things.
Did you know that we can find it on our beach?
Yes.
Yes, I know. Have you been down there? I'm like, yes.
And we have eagles, bald eagles all over our beach.
Yeah, I know. I know. I need to do more nature walks down and around, because people are just like, God, you live in the most beautiful. I'm like, feel so blessed a lot of the time. And I'm like, and I'm down at that beach all the time because my office is right there. I can never just get out of the office to go. I need to like just go before or after work and just go. But people will find me, and I'm like,
well, you know how you said you were called here? I was called here too. So in November, I've always loved Whidbey. I learned about it about 23 years ago, but in my mind, it seemed so impossible.
Right.
And then when we moved to Seattle, it still seemed impossible because it was an island and you have to work, and I didn't want that commute. But COVID, one of the blessings of COVID was actually, no, I could live here. And in November of last year, I came to a place in Cultus Bay and to do a little personal retreat. And I went to Sandy Hook to see the water. And
that's where Tess is at. That's where Tess is at.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was sitting on the swing set there because I love to swing. And I heard Whidbey calling me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Really? And I was looking at our bay, not knowing, our side of the bay, not knowing. And I looked and I thought, what is it like to live there? I wonder who lives there. And so I went back and I sat in meditation, and Spirit said, Michelle, you help everyone's dreams come true. It's time for you to have yours. If you really want this, start taking action toward it, and it will be yours.
Yeah.
So I got on the ferry, I downloaded Zillow, and I looked at the houses, and I was like, maybe we could live here. And Zillow hooked me up with Jessica Hart.
Oh my God, she's a friend of mine, and she's an amazing realtor. I love Jessica. My God.
And
Jessica's
so
amazing.
I stayed in touch with her and got through the process. We went and looked at a few houses, nothing I would want to live in. And then there was zero inventory for like 2 weeks.
Yep.
And she called me one Monday and said, I was just in my real estate meeting. and one of the other realtors has a client who's going to put their house in the market in a couple weeks. I went to look at it. It's your house. I can get you in to see it on Saturday. We
Jessica's
came to
amazing.
see it and we were like, oh my gosh. And she goes, oh, and by the way, it comes with a beach and a pool and a clubhouse. And I was like, what? And she said, let me take you there.
And a new best friend.
And a new best friend. And so she took me down there and I about fell to my knees and started crying because I looked across the bay at the swing set I was swinging on when Would Be called to me.
Okay. Yes. Those, yes. So when I toured this house, my realtor who knows Jessica, because I went with Leah Courage. Leah Courage used to work for the same, what do you call it? Yeah, used to work for Windermere. Now that she started her own thing, and she's up in Anacortes. And she started at the top of the island. We started in Anacortes and went all the way down in an entire day. We looked at 15 houses in one day. And this one was the second to the last house we saw. And then we had to go back to Bellingham and go look at houses over there. It was crazy. We came for like 3 or 4 days and it was like a whirlwind. And when I got to this house, I just started crying. I'm like, this is it. And my husband's like, there is no garage. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And you're like, all of a sudden, like, he's like, well, where's the extra bathroom? And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. This is it. This is it. I just started like feeling a certain way. And the very next day we needed to get to the airport and we were signing e-docs while we're waiting for our flight. Like, we got to get it in right now. And sure enough, it's our home. And it's just, it feels amazing here. It feels amazing here. It's so cool.
That's
okay.
So
all right.
awesome.
We got another question on the screen.
All right, Draven.
We digress.
Oh, awesome. Yes. Where do you begin with getting into life coaching? Well, I highly recommend the school I was trained in, which is the Coaches Training Institute.
Came up on my feed the other day. I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because they train and develop the intuition. And I think if that's not included, there's nothing like why, right? It's such a superpower. Right. And the other thing about them is that they're ICF accredited. So, there's the International Coach Federation, which is like the federation that oversees the profession of coaching. And a lot of things, if you ever wanted to get hired to do some part-time coaching in addition to your private practice, they usually want to know that you're ICF certified, because anyone can open a school, I think, and just say, oh, I'm teaching life coaching, but you really want to make sure it's accredited. Plus, they're just outside of San Francisco, but they train all around the world. Okay. And I'm sure even with COVID, they do a lot of it online. Is that the lady with the short white hair? No matter you see her and she's smiling on the thing and like, I don't know. She's got all these people behind her, probably. It looked really awesome. And it was calling to me. And my husband, he's like, he saw me looking at, he's like, you've been through a lot in your life. He says, I know that your YouTube channel is turning into, a little less witchy and a little bit more, I don't know, humanitarian. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like talk therapy almost, in a way. He's like, you're and travel and all this other stuff. He's like, you should really look into that because you're holding space for all these people. He's like, you could be doing this, and I'm like, oh wow. He says, and probably through doing it, you're probably going to heal as well. Exactly. And that's part of what the beauty in that journey is. And the people that they attract are high quality. It may be a little bit more pricey than some other programs, but you will never regret it. The other thing is that they really teach you how to build a business. Not all programs do. I saw one for health training that some of my clients in this area went to, and I was so shocked at a handout that they gave them about kind of the money you could make and the time period. And that is so unrealistic. It was so misleading. And I felt really sad for them because that's not the trajectory of 95% of coaches. I would say even like 97. And so just find the one that resonates and hire a coach yourself.
Okay.
and try it out. If you haven't worked with a life coach, like a certified life coach, try it out and
Okay.
just kind of see.
Okay.
Yeah, but the world needs us.
The world
And,
needs us. The
and the,
world absolutely needs us. There's other things, there's other types of therapy that, is out there. And I know that there's a lot of people that, do need, they have a chemical imbalance and they do need to be on medication. And I would never say to anybody that you shouldn't go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or any of that
totally.
other stuff. I would never say that. But there are other things. I've been in therapy and I was in therapy for a year, and I realized that I started to lose myself because the situation wasn't exactly um it wasn't fitting, it wasn't serving me anymore, and I needed to expand. And I started doing work with a very good witchy friend of mine from Australia named Crimson Fire. She does amazing stuff and teaching me a lot of what you're doing. And then I know I reached out to you and I'm like, hey, you have this a business, I would like to talk to you about it, and also would you come onto my YouTube channel, and talk about it as well. So like I know that you've offered me to do some stuff with you, and I'm excited to work with you, and I would love to do that. I absolutely would love to do
Yeah,
that. And we need to be able to find these other layers, like as we are an onion and we're peeling back these onion layers, there's also layers to the healing, and it can't just be all one way for one person. I think it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and kind of like the tools are all around you, pick them up
totally.
and
It's
try
yes,
them.
and
Yeah.
and therapy, the distinction between coaching and therapy is that therapy focuses on the past and healing the places that were stuck in the past.
Mhm.
Coaching is about present and moving you forward. It
Okay.
helps bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be.
Oh boy.
It's very different than therapy. And so yet as inside of coaching, depending on who your coach is, like I'm a metaphysical guide. And so coaching is one of the tools that I use. So I have
Mhm.
all these other, psychosensory techniques and, just ways of healing and transforming places in addition to the coaching that can help you really build those maps to get to where you want to go. Because once we have alignment with
Yeah.
our values, vision, and purpose, bam, manifestation occurs. And so
Manifestation. Wow.
I like to take people from where they're, if they're still in a victim state to where they can overcome that. And then once they've mastered overcoming that, I like to take them into transcending it so that you don't even have to deal with overcoming stuff. You just go like right to where you want, which is more of the conscious and deliberate manifestation. And that's really in service of what your soul came to do.
Child, let me just, okay. So I do manifestation magic. It's one of the things that I like don't even have to try. So
Yeah,
people, when I get healed and I shift all this other stuff, the world better just be ready because I'm bringing some stuff. Like
no
I'm bringing
doubt.
some stuff. I was here for a reason and a purpose, and I'm not giving up. I'm standing up every single dang time. Like this
Woohoo!
is I know. I'm super jazzed about it. I'm like excited about my future instead of dreading my future. I'm finally
Right.
there where I've been there in the feels, and now it's like moving out of it, and it's so liberating. It's fantastic. I know. It's like I know, fantastical stuff. And I'm like, and it feels like that. I think there's a meme or something like that that I've seen. It's just like boom negativity, boom haters, da 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 da. Like I'm like shoving them all aside and like still dancing and grooving around. It's like not. I of course I have bad days and stuff like that, but it's like I feel it coming. There's a huge change that's about to happen, and it
Yeah.
might depress some people, but I'm going to say it right now out loud, and I will have another announcement that's official. I'm closing my shop. people, I'm closing my shop and I'm doing something new, totally something new that I cannot talk about right now. But there's something really huge coming, really, really huge coming. And I've already put the stuff in motion and it's happening. And Ravenflower and Ravenflower Designs will be ending at the end of this year.
Wow. Well,
Yep.
it's natural that you'd evolve.
Yep.
Wow, good on you. I can't wait to see what it is.
It's going to be exciting. And I don't want people to think like, oh my God, is she leaving forever? I'm like,
Oh,
I'm just transitioning into something else. Think of me as this caterpillar that you see before you. There will be a fabulous butterfly at the other end in 2022.
nice. Nice.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
everything we've been through has been so forcing us to evolve, just the whole pandemic and everything that's been going on internally and externally. We're really being forced to evolve.
We're being
And
forced to.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, hold on.
You got
How long?
another one here. Oh, and here's Crimson. Crimson Fire. In the chat right now, I want you to meet my friend Michelle. This is the one I was telling you about that wanted to help me and do some stuff. This one right here
Hello.
lives 3 blocks away from me and is an energy
Neighbor.
healer. Michelle, tell Crimson what you do. Just real quick, because she just joined. She's in Australia, so she's just waking up.
Oh, cool. Hi. Well, I'm a psychic intuitive empath, and I help people close the gap between where they are and where they want to be. So I use a lot of psychosensory techniques to really help you fill your toolbox with ways to self-care, and to develop that sense of self-sovereignty so that you can further co-create with the universe in service of a greater good.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So that's me.
I'm so excited. Oh my God. I'm so glad that the two of you guys energetically came on into the same space and time. Or it just make me
Nice.
so excited. So excited.
Nice. Yay.
Oh my
I
God.
love meeting really cool people.
Oh, she's really cool. She's like really cool. Like,
Oh,
and
awesome.
she's another one just like you. Like I'm getting these people like dotted, speckled, like, I don't know, like people glitter, that
Oh, I love that.
coming through. It's just like I feel like, fabulous confetti of gorgeous, beautiful human beings that I was meant to work with and befriend and whatever. And I'm letting go of like all of the catty, junky, weird stuff that was just like, well, I could fight and I can argue and I could do all that stuff. Like I'm releasing that stuff and I'm like
Nice.
feeling so good. It's like, I'm like, with the things and the stuff. And I'm like, but does that really matter? No. And I'm like,
No.
it just doesn't. It's like, what are you going to throw your energy at? And why would you waste it? Like,
Right?
why
The
would you
world needs our sparkle now.
needs our sparkle? Absolutely. Okay,
I
we have
love that. The
another.
confetti.
This is our last question because we're like
Okay.
over time.
Okay.
But here you go from. Is that Lunar Tide? Lunar Tide.
All right. So, how long do I life coach person? And so, generally, I have a 3-month package. So, anyone can sign up for one session, but generally, I recommend at least a 3-month package. And often, people will, if they really committed to some deep personal transformation, they'll sign up for another 3 months after that. I do have some clients that continue because they're really up to some big things in their life and they want to continue creating.
Yeah.
And so they keep me on as a coach and we'll work together like once a month, once every couple weeks. The clients that I've worked with, all of them stay with me. I'll have people come out of the woodwork. Most people will check in a few times a year. It's kind of like a tune-up and just make sure that they've got their energy field clean and clear and harmonized, or that, when something big comes up in life, that they want to make sure that they're, kind of positioned for and that they're set up to create what they want. And yeah, but people seem to come back. I just had someone, after not talking to them for like 3 years, come back and they're still using all the techniques that I shared. So I was really excited and proud. Yeah, I love what I get to do. It's such an honor. Yeah. Crimson Fire. Oh, amazing. I hear you, Michelle. Thanks, Crimson. I hear you too.
She's amazing. She's amazing. Both of you guys are amazing people. I feel very, very blessed to have the people around me. I thank you, universe. I thank you, universe, for sending me the people, that I have now in my adult self.
Yeah.
It was a bad childhood and it was a bad adolescence and all that other stuff, but I'm learning that I'm not there anymore, and I'm
Mm-mm.
creating the space and the life in which I want. And these people like yourself are just coming, like you said, out of the woodworks. They're just coming out of the woodworks, and it wasn't by accident. It was by design. And the fact that you felt called here and you live 3 blocks away from me, I
Right.
immediately, when I met you, felt like it was just a hug. It was just a hug, and you're just a lovely, lovely, lovely person. And I do feel that we're making the world a better place, and it does start with us. You're absolutely right in that. So I thank you. I
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on today. And if you guys ever want to do any work with Michelle, I'm going to post her link right now again in the chat so you guys can copy that if you want it. But as it goes, as this posts again, I'll make sure to have it in the description box. And also, Michelle, send me a link to Zach's YouTube page, so that way we can go check out Zach. Her son is pretty cool to go and do review products for technology, because this old gal really needs it.
Right.
I tell
Well,
you, good thing.
and he's 13. He's been doing this since he was 11. Like
Oh,
he just wants to share things with the world and talk. And I've never seen someone so eager and creative to get on there. And he has like short little movies. It's just, he's fun.
here's a thank you.
Oh, thank you. I love all the names.
Oh, I
That
know.
it's
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, you don't have a witchy name. Everybody just comes on with all these like really cool names. And I'm just like, wow, that's a good name. I'm like, I didn't think
right.
about that one.
Well, that's why I put Everyday Alchemist on mine.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
There's
Well,
something.
it was a pleasure, absolute
Oh,
pleasure for you to come on today. It was very much needed. And I hope that it would benefited a lot of people in the chat. And
yeah,
I
me
think that
too.
it did. And I just love you. And I can't wait to see you.
Oh,
I can't wait to see
thank
you again.
you. This has been
Really,
so much fun. Thank you for this opportunity. And I love sharing. So and connecting with you. It's been such a delight to meet you and get to know you and call you friend.
oh, I love it.
And I love your husband too.
I love my water. Oh gosh, I thank you. I thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, with that,
All
we're
right.
gonna end it. I'm gonna let you guys get back to your day, and you've got some pretty awesome things to do with some grounding exercises. Y'all gonna do great.
Right.
See you
All
soon,
right.
Michelle. I love you.
Thanks. Love
Have a
you.
good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Okay, that was Michelle. I'm telling you, these people in my life right now are just like just like everything. And I get so excited about it because I'm super passionate about it. And it's like the junk is shifting, and I feel like I'm just shaking some stuff off, and I'm just feeling so fabulous. It's really, really good. I have one more truth talk that was supposed to happen this month, but it's going to be happening the first week of next month because of scheduling issues. So, just a little update. I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook post, but I took an A1C of 14, which is actually off the chart, to a 6.8 in a 3-month period of this transition and healing. And I am now considered pre-diabetic. My doctor was so freaking excited that he took the results straight over to my surgeon, and he said, "You asked for the impossible. She did the work. You get her in here immediately so that she can get the surgery and move forward." I have a pre-op. I have a pre-op appointment with my surgeon next Thursday, and we will be scheduling surgery. So we got witchy meet and greet coming up on the 25th. I'm going to see whether or not I can get surgery before that or directly after that. All of the things are happening. All the things are happening. We've got people coming in for witchy meet and greet starting on the Friday, the 24th. I'm going to see Irish. I'm going to see her daughter. I'm going to see Jennifer Ball, Jenna, Moon Whisper, Dorothy, aka Fluff Bunny, if you don't know who that is. There's all these people coming in on Friday night, which is going to be fantastic. And I'm just so grateful and excited that all of this stuff is happening in my birthday month. But we have one more guest, and that guest is Jennifer Knighton. Jennifer Knighton has been in the chat all the time and is coming out with a pretty fabulous witchy name. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to have her on. I know that she's nervous. I know that she's in the thing right now going like, I can't believe she's talking about me right now. Like, and I will have to put you in contact with Irish, who was also extremely nervous, but did a fantastic job on Truth Talk. So all of the things. Now, I also said not only is surgery happening and I'm kicking ass in regards to my health, but also witchy meet and greet. I'm also in the month of October doing 31 days of Truth Talk mini version. There's 30-minute segments where people will tell their ghost stories. Tell your ghost stories. So I need people. Come. I will actually be at the registration table at meet and greet with another camera and tripod set up where people are going to just come up and tell me their ghost stories, and I'm going to just upload them like I'm going to make the ghost stories ring, people. All 31 days. There will be a Truth Talk each day in the month of October. This is going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I know that people are feeling in a certain way. I've already gotten some messages because I have my laptop open, be like, what do you mean you're closing down your shop? What do you mean or whatever? Is Ravenflower really going away on YouTube? Yeah, I am. I'm going away. There is actually going to be a funeral for Ravenflower. I'm putting her to bed. I'm going to go night-night. And this caterpillar is emerging into something else in 2022. So the shop is actually going to be shut down at the end of this year. I'm going to have a big blowout sale probably in the month of November. I'm liquidating everything and I'm moving forward. So don't think that I'm going to be gone. I'm just going to come back probably as Raven. Because Raven is something that people call me in the normal everyday or whatever. So it won't be Ravenflower. There will no longer be Ravenflower Designs. There won't be a Ravenflower YouTube channel anymore. And I'm shifting into something else. I'm going to be spending a lot of time over on my other channel with my husband, because not only is it going to be a wonderful experience to do that together, but also I'm going to be shifting into something else that is a secret for now, but please understand that all of my time and energy is really going to go to something really, really awesome. And I hope that you'll be along for that, but I can't talk about it right now, but that's going to be happening in 2022, a little bit later. But my other channel is The Pirate and I, AYE, which Bear and I run around all over the place and do reviews on products. We do for travel. It is a peg leg point of view of travel. And I'm going to be shifting that YouTube channel into something else. So it's not only going to be travel, but it's going to be more of like a vlog and humanity talks and things like that, and bringing different people in various industries to come on and share and do some things. So those are things that are going to happen. It's not that I don't want to do products anymore. It's that I'm one person, and it often drains me down so much that to put all of my energy in those products, that I'm feeling a certain way about that it's hard for me to come back up from it. So I am just shifting it, you guys. So if there are anybody out there that is just like, well, I better get some candles and I better do some other stuff, you better do it. If you, so I'm telling you, I probably won't be do custom orders anymore, and anything else that I do as far as products are concerned are going to be friend gifts from here on out, and that's what's going to happen. It's a total rebirth. It is a total rebirth, and it's something that's needed. So I hope that you will take advantage of all of the truth talks coming between now and the end of the year. And then I hope that I will leave my channel up for a little bit so that people can go and see some of my old videos. I don't know, I actually have to, I probably won't take the channel down. You can always go back because I've done over 500, I think 550 videos in the last 6 years. So I think my anniversary is February, I want to say. And that would be 7 years on YouTube. Can you believe it? 7 years on YouTube. Crimson's like, I've been here for a long, long time. But I'm going to leave the channel up. It's just that new stuff probably won't happen on that. So that way you guys can always still go back into those to the channel videos and all that other stuff and enjoy the fun, but it's just shifting into something else. There will be a funeral for Ravenflower. It's going to be fine. It's all going to be good. It's all about rebirth, and it's all about changing it up. We got different energy and we got different stuff to work on. That's what's going to happen. So please fear not. You're going to hear and see different things, but no, I'm still going to be around. I'm still in the community. I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just shifting into something else, a higher version of what I was. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And it's really good. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Fantastic. Exactly. Exactly. Crimson says that shedding of the old skins and adorning the new. It's major growth. It's a major growth time. And you know what? I'm about to be 47. I ain't got no more time to be sitting here in shadow stew. I don't. So with that, I'm going to love and leave you right now, and we are going to be getting ready. And I'll see you back on the channel on September 4th for another Truth Talk with my guest. And there may be one more other person. I'm trying to get my former boss from the paint department, Pip. May have agreed to an interview in a Truth Talk about her process leaving the Mormon Church. She has a book called The Orphan of God. She's coming out with a second book. It is really hard and difficult read, but Pip is the most amazing person and still a good friend of mine. And she's agreed to come on the channel, but it has to be in person because she's like, I don't know how to do the technology stuff. And I'm like, I got you. So I'm going to make sure that happens. And we will see you hopefully soon in September, and more updates will be coming around. I love you guys. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Many blessings to you, and go have an awesome day, people. Go get out there. Go do stuff.